What's up, everybody? It's Lamont, and I'm back with another episode of the God is My Source podcast, where we bridge the gap between God, money, business, family, and relationships. I got Miss Ebony Ellis on the line from Detroit, Michigan, woman of God, mother, great mother. She's been telling me a lot about her children. She even told me that she went to Central State University. Now that's a shocking to me, because I was like, I ain't know too many people that went to Central State, but we got another fellow Central State alumni on the podcast. So we're gonna get right to it. We're gonna open up with a word of prayer, and then we're gonna talk to Miss Ebony. She's gonna tell us her testimony and tell us how she's able to balance being a mother, being a woman of God, and being an entrepreneur. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day. We ask you to just help us to give you the glory throughout this podcast. We ask you to just talk through us so that we can bring others closer to Christ. We put you first in everything we do. You told us to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the things will be added unto us. We ask you just help us to bring people to a point to where they understand that when they put you first, they won't have any worries. When they put you first, they won't have anxiety, they won't have stress. They'll be able to just trust in you with all their heart, lean onto their own understanding so that you can direct their path. And we thank you for everything you've done for us. Thank you for everything you will do. Help us to respect our past, honor our present, and expect a better future. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. It is so and it shall be. Amen.
Amen.
What's up, Ebony? How you doing today?
Awesome. I am wonderful today. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain at all. It's kind of cold outside, but it is what it is. God get the glory out of everything. And
you in Cleveland right now?
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland right now.
Okay.
So, you in Detroit right
now? We got similar weather.
The mistake on the lake. That's what they call us.
No, I ain't never heard that before.
No, that's what they tell you. They call us the mistake on the lake. You say you've been to Cleveland a couple times, right?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
How does it differ from Detroit? What would you say?
I don't even really remember. I don't remember the city too much. Like I had a destination and that's where I was going, and I just got there and I got back home.
Okay.
But I know because my friend, the one I said lives in Fairborn, her mom and family live in Elyria.
Okay.
So it's close to Cleveland. So we went to Elyria, then we went out to Cleveland one night, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, Elyria, that's kind of far. I remember I had friends that went to Central State with us. They was from Elyria. They kept saying they was from Cleveland. We like, y'all not from Cleveland. Y'all
it's not really close. I don't remember.
It's like,
but
I don't know how
I don't think it's too far, but they're probably very different than Cleveland people. Cause it's a little country looking town. It's not city like that. So I think, that's the best point of reference. Cleveland would be the best point of reference for them.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, you told me you was a mother. You went to Central State. When you went to Central State, what year did you graduate from Central State?
I graduated in 2006. I graduated in 2006. I came back to walk in 2007 because I had to finish general ed requirements, which really made me upset. That was so annoying. They switched over while I was there. They switched over from quarters to semesters, and it messed our credit system up, the number of credits we needed for certain things. So by the time I got done with all my major requirements, I still had 6 credits that I needed. And so I was in summer school taking cycling. I was literally riding a bike. Do you know how old I was that my advisor, she would not let me walk with my class because I needed them 6 credits. So I had to take health again because that's the only other thing that was offered, and cycling. That's what I was doing in summer school. So yeah, I was upset. So, but I came back and walked just in 2007 because I wanted to. I had to do the thing. I did all that work. Had to, walk across the
What you
stage.
get your degree in?
Biology.
Okay.
I majored in bio pre-med.
Okay. You was about to be a
Yeah.
doctor. You was about to be Dr. Ebony.
And I think that's what she was mad about. I was gonna go to dental school, and I changed my mind, and I decided that I wanted to be a teacher. And I really think my advisor felt away. And I'm like, I'm not your child. I don't have to do the things that make you happy. Like she was, and I really honestly think that's why she didn't sign off for me to walk. She know I was qualified to graduate. Like,
What
so
made you make
yeah.
that decision?
Well, I decided I'm an empath. Like I've come to terms with that over the years. I'm an empath. I have strong, like, emotional connections with people. So I know, like, once we were like touring medical schools and doing all of that kind of stuff, I came to the conclusion that I can't handle sickness and death. Like, that's not something I can do. Like, I can't be around people all day. Like, that would drain the life out of me to see, people being like sick all the time or dying on me. Like, I already know I was not gonna be able to handle that. So I just made a decision around like sophomore year. Honestly, like I don't really want to do medical anymore. But I'm also a person that likes to finish what I started. So I just went on and got my degree because I'm like, I'm midway now. Like, just go, go ahead and finish, and then you can always go to graduate school. So that's what I ended up doing. I just finished my biology degree, but then I went to Mary Grove and got my master's of education. So I love learning. Like, I am big on learning, but I'm also big on learning skills. Like, I'm a big proponent for um, trades and skills work over academia. So I could never really see myself being like a professor or anything like that, because most of the time they are very just textbook, like, um, you know, philosophy type teachers, where you have knowledge of things, but I like applying knowledge. Like, that is the most important part to me. So even now I teach science at the middle school level. I kind of be going all around the curriculum a little bit, like, I don't really think they need to know that. I kind of be doing my own thing. I'm a rebel in that way. I'm not about to just stick to the script just for the sake of sticking to the script if I don't feel like it's gonna be beneficial in the near future. So even like when it comes to middle school, like they don't need to know, the chemical equation of photosynthesis, but we have to teach them that. And so I, really just focus hard on science process skills. Like, you need to know how to classify, organize. You need to know how to reference and research. You need to know, like all of those skills that you pick up while you're learning science is what I, really hone in on.
So you know the whole periodic table.
I do. And I didn't memorize the whole thing, but I know quite a few of them. I know quite a few of them, yes. So
So like,
that's been in education, but I don't like the education system. Like, um I'm a teacher who literally hates school.
so I mean, you gonna be the one that's a trailblazer and changing the way that the students learn. So like, you got the most important job, in my opinion, because if we talk about economics and how everything works, a person usually learns the most. They say they start learning from age 5 to about 15. But I think personally, going through my experiences, I learned the most when I was in between the ages of 12 and about 16. Middle school played a huge part in shaping who I was, my habits, how I looked at life, how I looked at other people, how I interacted with other people. So like with you being in middle school, you more than just a teacher to these children. You more of like a role model in a way. So how do you how can I explain it? How do you teach your students how to be men and women versus just being their teacher?
That is a great question. So what I can say is this year in particular has been a new year for me. Like I feel like I have a renewed sense of purpose in education, just through like this whole, panorama, like things just being so different and shifting. My attitude towards people has changed. My attitude toward my students has changed. So one thing I have noticed is I was so focused on teaching, being a teacher before. Like I was like, I got to do my job. Like, so when I went to work, I went focused on doing the job, right? Like the lesson plan and delivering the lesson and doing all of that. Whereas now I'm so much more student focused. Like I'm so much more focused on building relationships. And I used to hear teachers say that before, like, your relationship with your students is most important, but I never really focused on it. I kind of just felt like, okay, it'll come if it come. If I, if a student is drawn to me, then I'll nurture that relationship. But this year, specifically, I've been so much more focused on drawing them, like reaching them at their level. Even as simple as complimenting things, like you notice that spark in them, like, oh, thank you, and they are so much more different in the classroom because they feel like you notice them, and I feel like I wasted a lot of years teaching just to be teaching. And so I really want to make up for those years, but I know I can't. So I just am moving forward very intentional on, noticing my students, like acknowledging them at their level, like not so much focused on, oh, you getting an F or you getting a D or you get, you know what I mean? Like you're a student, so you're my favorite. Like, it's not even like that. So because people are just going through so much and hurting and stressed, and like it's so much, like so many bigger problems, you know what I mean, than your school grades at this moment. I just choose not to focus so heavily on that. And I noticed something, a dramatic change in the way my classroom feels, like the number of students that just pop in all day just to say hey, or you know what I mean? Like they just want to know that you care about them beyond the schoolwork. So that's been the biggest shift this year. I've been teaching 10 years. So I feel like I've wasted so much time where I could have really been reaching more students, but I was just so focused on the education system. Like, so now I'm just like, I got to get out of this system. Like, I love the youth. I love teaching, like I always have, but I get bogged down by all of the demands from the higher ups, like this is the structure of how things need to be done. And I've just started to kind of rebel a little bit, like, within reason, I'm going to focus on what my students need, not what you're telling me needs to be done. So that's the main thing.
What do you think are some things that could be changed that could be more beneficial to the students?
I can only really speak from a science teacher perspective. I mean, there are a lot of things that could be changed in the school system, but like when I think about science, like as a subject, science is um a support subject. So math and ELA, math and English are the main subjects. Always have been. That you gotta learn how to do math, arithmetic, right? And you gotta learn how to read, right? Science is a support subject, like social studies is a support subject because you gotta know how to read in order to do science, right? So you are basically supplementing kind of what they're doing in other classes in your classroom. That is what it should be. But science has become this subject where they are required to memorize a bunch of stuff and then take a test that shows that they memorized it for the most part. That has to change because, I mean, technology is number one industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technology is science-based. If you are not teaching a student how to research, like they only should just be learning how to research and then apply that knowledge to a problem. That is all. So everything about science should be project-based. They could do a project for a whole year where they're actually building an app or coming up with a solution for, a health problem, whether it be creating a new type of hand sanitizer or I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you started the year, if you started the year with this is the big idea, and you let them run with that, and you just supplement with skills like how to research using scholarly journals. You know what I mean? We don't never get to that. When do we have time? We don't have time. There's no way that a student can learn how to really deep dive, into a topic because we constantly like, okay, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Like, what are we really doing here? So I'm just real big on the deep dive. Like if we gonna learn about it, let's learn about it. Like let's interview people, let's take a trip there, let's zoom somebody in, let's read some different books. You read this part and teach us about it. Like, but that literally would take a whole semester or a whole year to really get something done, and we never have that. So if we could just focus on practical application in science, it will be so much more beneficial to them because then they learn how to think. We always throw out critical thinking. We want to teach them critical thinking. Like, how do you teach critical thinking? You can't teach somebody to think. What you can do is put things in place for them so that it'll make them think. You cannot tell them answers and get them the answers in the back of the book, you know what I mean? Or give them like leading, like fill in the blanks. Like I find myself having to do these tasks, mundane things, because that's what the curriculum calls for, Whereas I would never do that. Like everything would be open-ended and I just be like, what you think, and I'm constantly having to beg them to think further because they're never conditioned to do it. I wasn't conditioned to do it. You know what I mean? In school, it was a fill in the blank. Like you had to figure out what word go there. There's only one word can go in there and that's it. That's not critical thinking. Ain't nothing critical about it, So if we could just make things a little more open-ended, give them problems to solve and let them solve them. Even if it ain't the answer you thought it should be, or, you know what I mean? Even if it ain't what you was expecting, like there should not be a answer key involved. That's just my take on it. Like there shouldn't be an answer key.
So do all the schools, I know you teaching Detroit public schools, or do you teach in another district?
Nope, I teach a public school, but it's a public charter school.
Okay. So does the
Yeah,
state
so
mandate, the state mandates you all to teach them certain things?
yeah, because the test that they have to take, like the M step, and there's another test, I don't know. But those tests are going to be testing them on certain knowledge, like, you know what I mean? Like certain topics that, and you never really know what that's going to be. So uh the testing is super flawed because you never know when a student is going to even see certain material.
Mm.
So they might take the test and never haven't gotten around to a certain topic. You know what I mean? Just throwing in, for one, this whole pan thing that's going on, right? Uh, Substitutes coming in, being remote back at home, being sick and out. Like, it's very possible they miss a whole unit, you know what I mean, or a whole subject or a whole, topic, and then they'll take the test next year. They was supposed to remember that stuff from this year to next year. It's ridiculous.
Hmm. So how do other school districts get ahead then? Because somehow, some way, you already know another demographic of people, they usually end
Yeah.
up, I'm not gonna say smarter, because I feel like we have an opportunity, the experiences we go through, we have more practical knowledge most of the time, like worldly knowledge and
Mm.
different things like that. But how do they end up getting ahead so much? How do they end up getting able to get in positions where they run Yale, run Harvard and stuff like that? Is it at home or?
I was gonna say it's exposure, and it's not necessarily at home. Like, when we talk about socioeconomic status, that plays a large role in exposure, like the ability to be a part of things, because our schools can bring in different programs, you know what I mean, if they have the funding available. But if you think about the areas where these schools are, for one, they're going to have more funding available, right? Because taxes are higher, people will have more money to contribute to that. The Michigan lottery even puts money into schools, not our schools.
Mm.
I don't know what school, but you know what I mean? Like, that big
Mm.
pot of money goes somewhere. So there is more money available in affluent areas just off GP, right? So they're going to have higher budgets for their students. That means they can allot that funds to other programs. They'll have like way more, foreign languages available than we ever would. We got like a Spanish teacher, and we might have a Spanish teacher, you know what I mean? Like, so they'll have like 3 different foreign languages you can pick from. They'll have various, their music program is stocked, they got all the instruments and they got all the stuff, and they can hire somebody. They can actually pay somebody what they need to pay them to get them there, and then they have after school programs. They have lacrosse. Like, we don't have lacrosse, you know what I mean? Just think what kind of doors that opens up when you are able to participate in something that is not of the norm. Then you have a different room, right? We always talking about getting in the room. Like, you have a different room you can get in if you play golf, or if you are a soccer player. Like, it's just different. Like, there is no way that we can compete because we don't have the resources to do it. And that's just that. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? We're not lesser. We can take over the room if we get in it. Like, always have, always will be able to. Like, we just have the sauce. So it's just exposure to business and entrepreneurship. Like, if our students could just get in there, like, if they can learn about it. I've seen it happen for a brief moment because we had a technology teacher at our school and he was an entrepreneur. Like he's doing big things in the city, like organizing events and like, Black Restaurant Week. Like he really is like deep in the entrepreneur scene. And he had a club after school, with the students. And so I was like, well, I got to get in here and see what y'all doing. And it was like so amazing. And the kids was really in it. They coming up with their business names and they developing products. Like you can do that if you have the resources, but he not gonna necessarily be available to do that every single day. He's not also not getting paid for that. He just volunteered to do that. But people need to get paid to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? Everybody can't volunteer. We don't got it like that. So it's just really resources at the end of the day, the ability to obtain the resources.
And you just struck something right there for me. You said that the lottery get used. The lottery money. We know who go to do the lottery though.
You know what I'm saying, though.
For them to
hello.
Oh no, the lottery.
And we not getting that money. That money don't come to us. They always be like such and such millions of dollars went to education. Where?
So basically, we need to start paying attention to the itemization of. It's big because I remember that was one of the major things we didn't pay attention to when it came to like the presidency. We didn't understand like what money was being spent on. And other demographics of people, they'll sit down and they'll look at that and they'll look at the logics and they start lobbying and start making moves.
They lobby. They will make a big deal. Yep. We just so used to being overlooked that it's become normal. Like, we'll just let somebody else figure it out. And it's like, no, we got to figure it out. Like, we need to know what's going on because there's always resources available, but like, do you know where to go look for them at? Like, who you talking to that's going to tell you about them? Like, I'm learning that recently just with like grants, like not even grants. I ain't even going to say that. Grants. I'm signed up for this like text program and they're always sending things like, apply for this, apply for that. But what I was thinking about were like, what are they called? RFPs. RFP. I think it's a request. Oh yeah. Request for proposal. And that's government funds, but that could be through schools. That could be through like government organizations. And like all of them do request for proposals, and literally it could be something you just so commonly used to doing. Like they just want somebody to come like, do a research, like, market analysis or something. I don't know. And like you have that skill, you can go get paid a quick 5,000. Like you just need to know where to look for it. It just be a whole little database. You just go through it like, oh, I can do that. I know how to do that. Put your little proposal in and make some money. But it's just a matter of being aware, you know what I mean? Knowing where to find that money at. So, yeah.
That's crazy. That struck something in me. I'm about to go tell everybody that today.
It's funny.
And then, you're right though too, because even the government contracting arena, that's all it is, request for proposals. Yeah. And sometimes you might do something that nobody else do. You might can go to every major city in America.
Yeah, and
like you just said, a little $5,000. Say you go to the top 18 cities in America, you got $5,000. You do the math, and you
straight. You could travel around and just file for government contracts.
We get hip to this. We don't know what's going on. And you making me understand that it's a system. It's like go to first grade, go to second grade, go to third grade, go to boom, boom, boom.
And the thing is, they're teaching us to do just what you said. Be oblivious, right? Not dig any deeper. Just do what you're told to do, you know what I mean? And you'll be all right. And that's how we've been programmed until now. This generation is about to shift everything. Like, we all understand at this point that we don't just do what we're told to do. That in itself is a revelation, you know what I mean? But that's also, probably nerve-wracking for the people up here who want us to just not pay attention and just do what we're told. Like, we're about to raise a generation of straight entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? Like, they not gonna want to go to academia, most of them. I mean, there's certain professions where you need a college degree, and we all know that, but that ain't that many of them. It ain't that many professions where you actually need a piece of paper. And so with that being said, if I have the skills to do anything and I start making money straight out of high school or in high school, I ain't going to college. Like, well, for what? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. So to keep the system going, you know what I mean? They're all trying to find another route, try to find another way, because school's not gonna be it. That ain't gonna be it.
No, everything shift, because some of you just stated that we are shifting. And I believe it was in the I have this written down somewhere, but I believe it was in the early 1900s was when the shift of people actually started going to high school. Like, people didn't used to go to high school. But
exactly. I remember people being like, I had a third grade education. Like, what?
People didn't go to high school.
Yeah.
And I think in around the 1940s.
Did you say 20s?
Like the early 1900s. I'm not going to say 1920s because I'm not sure if it was 19. I know it was the early 1900s, like around that, when slavery ended time frame, when they had the stage of where Black people started to actually progress. I don't know what that time period is called, but it's a time period where
I know what you're talking about. I'm definitely not good with social studies though. So
yeah.
I'll be the first to admit I don't know what be going on.
Somebody will look it up. It's not called the Enlightenment era. It's called
what I will do. Oh yeah, I thought it was like industrial or something.
The Industrial Revolution was after that.
That was later. Okay.
It's called the Reconstruction era. That's what it was called.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, Reconstruction. So from 1865 to 1877 was Reconstruction. So, well, yeah, it was Reconstruction after the war and after they did everything. So now you got Black people creating schools. We got HBCUs coming into play.
Yeah.
People starting to make moves and business and different things like that. And then after that, that's when they started putting laws in for segregation, because they was like, well, they're not about to mingle with us. So
yeah, they trying to take over. Wait a minute.
But after that, that's when they started. It's like, that's when high school became something that they was putting into play, because now they like, well, we got to educate people more.
Yep.
So that they can keep up.
And tell them what we want to tell them. Like, we have to give them the knowledge that we want them to have and tell them this is what they need to know so that they won't start learning other things. Because people, like, when you think about school, like, if I'm telling you this is the math you need to know, why then would you go and start trying to learn on the side about compound interest? Like, why would you even think to go over there and look for that? You're not gonna think about that. So yeah. It's control all the way around.
Dang, that might even make me think why they even created high school. Wow.
It was control all the way around. Especially because the Industrial Revolution came and they started the assembly line, right? They started the assembly line. You have to be regimented. Oh Lord, here's the kid. Go back, baby. Go back, son. I'll see you in a minute.
Mommy duties.
Yeah. Yeah. Go close the door, baby. I'll be out in a minute. Oh, you're gonna keep popping in, huh? Oh. All right, but yeah, that you have to be very regimented for a job like that, right? And like if you aren't structured, like they started, these are things I kind of learned like going through education, like becoming a teacher, but like even school bells are very like systemic. Like they created that system, like a school bell ringing at a certain time was a signal on the assembly line too.
Mm,
The bell, it means something. Like I don't remember it
like you
specifically, but
training.
yeah, it's training. Like Pavlov's dog. Have you ever heard of that?
Nah, what's that?
Pavlov, it's a research, that person Pavlov is the person, but the dog, they were ringing the bell and it was like a training thing, like, so it's a whole, you can look it up one day, but yeah, it's a whole like way of signaling like you to do something.
Wow.
A lot of it is like, was really created and structured for a purpose. It's real interesting. I always just been a rebel. Like I swear all through school, I was like, I'm not about to just be doing that. Like I'm not about to just be like, I don't just wanna, I've always been that way. So I don't baby, out. Go out. Close the door. Go in there with that. Children. But yeah, I don't want to, I guess, perpetuate that system for children right now. And then my main goal right now is to get to a place where I can homeschool my own, because I want them to be as diverse and as free. Because with freedom comes creativity. Like when you have the restraints off, you can kind of like think about stuff and be like, oh, test things out. Like, we don't have that freedom when you go to school for 8 hours a day, like that's crazy.
So what led you into entrepreneurship? Because it's like you was teaching, and then teaching led you into doing different projects in entrepreneurship to where now you have started a business and everything. So what led you to that?
Well, teaching didn't lead me to entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurship was always in me. I've so crafting was always kind of like one of the things that I really just gravitated to. I love making things. Like I want to see something come out of nothing. Like you start this and then you come up with this beautiful thing. Like that's always been kind of my mentality. So I started like my first business. I think I don't know, I might have been 20, because I didn't know that I didn't know what entrepreneurship was in college, which is really sad. In college, I was just taking out student loans, like doing a bunch of bull crap that now I'm looking back like, girl, you could have been making money. You could have been paying your own tuition, like, especially when I realized I could do cake decorating. That's a super easy business to get into because there's something called the cottage food law. I know Michigan has it. I don't know, other states have it too, but it might look different. But with the cottage food law, you don't have to have a commercial kitchen. You don't have to, have a storefront bakery. You can legally bake out of your house and sell goods out of your house. And it's super easy to get into that, and you don't need a license. So that's one of the businesses, home baking, one of the businesses that doesn't require state licensing or county licensing. And that's kind of rare because most businesses require you to go, to your um, city, county, building and register and all of that stuff. I've done that plenty of times because I was always exploring like this entrepreneur. I got like maybe 5 DBAs. I'm gonna register this name. I'm gonna register this name. I got about 3 or 4 domain names. Like I'm constantly just like trying to figure out like what fits and what works. And then I learned that like, shoot, you could sell domain names. If somebody looking for it and they want it, you could put a premium on it. So, and I'm like a real big idea person. Like I come up with some ideas. Like I have books of just stuff that just popped in my head. And I'm like, man, that'd be a dope business, Of course I can't execute on all of them, but the fact that I have that creativity, I think is what really sparked entrepreneurship for me, because it was like, well, you can, you can do this and make some money from it. Like, oh, okay, I could do that. So, anyway, when I first started, I think I was doing like gift baskets. I was like creating like, put all the little stuff in there, make it look cute and frill the ribbon and all of that, right? I quickly realized like, you got to have inventory. Like, who had space to be having candles laying all around, like, or whatever. So that, that fell by the wayside. I started the idea of creating like custom clothes, like, I'm sorry. Go. He is 3, guys. He is 3. All right. So, so like I was doing, like fringing, shirts and stuff, and people was buying them in like distressing jeans and just always something crafty. And, I had the opportunity to go to a, fellowship where was I? I was in California, San Bernardino. So this fellowship was specifically, so this is where I said, like, my preparation kind of met opportunity, but it like exposed me to a whole nother level of entrepreneurship. Like I was working on, just on a little side hustle level, like, oh, this is cute, this is fun, I can make a couple dollars, right? I went to this fellowship, so it was called ITTN. That stands for something, Integrated something Technology Network or whatever. So I'm just like briefly talk about this program. It took students from HBCUs who had majored in science specifically, right? So that's a niche right there, right? Like everybody ain't gonna get that opportunity. So the fact that I had went to college led me to that opportunity, because I used to always question, like, why the heck did I even go through all of this schooling and I could just create a business and do my own thing, right? But anyway, so because I had graduated from HBCU and I had majored in science, I went to this program. My friend called me one day. He went to Central School. He graduated the year before me. He was like, hey, this program, man, is so dope. It's for you. Like I thought. He's like, they have openings still available. I thought immediately of you. And I'm like, what? What you talking about? I'm at work. I just had got the good government job with the state of Michigan, right? And so I had been trying to get that job for like 3 months. And so all the things and all of the programming that went into life, into school, right, would have told me to just stay at that good government job and don't do, you know what I mean? Don't do that. Don't leave. I had to pick up and go to California to do the program. Like just spare it a moment. Like it was so quick turnaround. I think I had like 3 days to decide and like pack and get on a plane. So anyway, they pay for everything. They pay for airfare, boarding, everything. Like they give us a stipend of like $5,000 a month. I'm like, I gotta take this. Like I have to. Like I told my mom, I'm an only child, so you already know, she's like, this is my baby, right? No matter how old I am. She was like, you doing what? Like, what is this? So anyway, I picked up and went. Part of that was entrepreneurial, right? Like the ability to just make decisions and just go with it. You follow your gut, you follow your heart, like you look at the opportunity. I went and researched real quick. He was talking to me. I'm online looking it up. I'm looking up the program. I'm looking up the area. I'm trying to figure out like what he's talking about. I trusted him as a person. So I'm like, he ain't gonna just send me on a goose chase, right? So yeah, I picked up and left. And so what it was 9 months in California, 3 months in Maryland. We worked with the Army Research Lab in Maryland. We worked with these scientists it's the Army Research Lab, right? Super high level scientists, super smart. They have zero business knowledge, zero. Like all they want to do is create products. You know what I mean? Like all they want to do is research. They don't even know that they create products half the time. They are just researching and solving problems. Like they're making stuff happen, right? But they don't know who gonna buy it, how much they gonna spend for it. Is anybody else making this too? Can y'all collaborate with somebody and get it to market quicker? Like how y'all gonna recoup the money that y'all spending? You know what I mean? And the government wants to recoup the money. Like they putting all this money into research. They want their money back. So that's basically the idea, was like to take people who have science knowledge and teach them business principles and like teach them how to market. Like do market analysis. So we were applying like our research knowledge, right, to a business problem. And it was crazy. It was immersive. It was super fast paced. Like you had to like, if you was doing, you was sink or swim. Like they threw us in like these hot pots. Like, okay, you about to do a fast pitch for, this board of venture capitalists. Like, what? Like, who, and everything that I learned in that program, I'm like, God, you got to show me how I can bring that back to my people. Like, there ain't no way in the world I could let that opportunity go. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to still do with it, but I got so much in me from that. Like, I even later on called the director of the program, because the program's no longer even active, right? I called the director and I'm like, I need the curriculum, because they had us learning some stuff. And he sent me over so much stuff. So I got stuff, like I got information. I have the experience. I know how to do it. I just don't know where it's gonna be you know what I mean? Like beneficial. I'm not real sure how I'm going to implement, but I'm going to implement that one day because it was dope.
The Ebony Tech University, Science and Technology University.
Yeah, that's always been my dream, is to start a school, but I never wanted it to look like, school. So yeah.
No, that's pretty dope. So you was able to learn how your skills can transform into a business per se. You found out the back end of business, because most people don't. You just said venture capitalist. No, most people don't even know what a venture capitalist is.
Exactly. I learned so much stuff.
Yeah. Venture capitalists, basically, I'm not gonna say not just venture capitalists, but investors really run everything we do. Like it's somebody who invested in Amazon, somebody who invested in Walmart. These people invest their money into these ideas per se, and they make them blow up. We in our community don't always have access to this stuff because we don't even know about it. So now you was able to find out the back end of business. You took this back to Detroit. You started creating your own businesses. How was you able to balance all of this? You was all over. You was here. So what made you understand that entrepreneurship was the way that African Americans can get out of their situation?
So with like my So right now I have a company called Create with Cake. I did not initially start the business to be a baker, right? I've always had the big picture idea. Like, I'm a very big picture person. Um, I do understand that you have to start somewhere, right? And so what I try to do is I'm always identifying those sparks in other people, because I do think that, like, because we've been programmed so much, we don't necessarily look at every opportunity that's there. Like, we overlook things, like we can make a bomb pound cake. You know what I mean? Like, it seems small, but when you think about the fact that you can package them and put them in stores, or you can, you start with what you have and then you add on to it. So because I'm a researcher, I'm like, if I can even just help somebody find out, the next step, then I feel like I'm helping. I'm helping to further the entrepreneurial mindset, of my community. But I really just want to spark creativity. Like, that's just kind of like the main thing, because if we understand that God created us to be creators like He is, right, we could do so much. So I kind of live by this motto that I'm a creator like my daddy. If you look at Genesis 1:20, it's 1 and 25, 26, 27, right? When he's talking about creating man and woman, it says he created them in his image, right? But if you look at everything before that, he created them in his image as he is. That makes them creators, right? If he created them to be in his image, that makes us creators too. We can call ourselves creators, right? And that's not blasphemy or any, that's not blasphemous. Like, we are creators like our daddy, right? He created everything from words just by speaking it, right? He created it. He was like, it's going to be light, boom, light. If we operate in that same mentality, that same mindset, right, there is nothing we can't do. We just got to put the words to it, right? And we got to know what we are calling into existence. But that takes a level of, I guess, I think, well, I'm not even gonna say that takes confidence. I think the confidence comes once you identify that that's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a creator. I speak that all the time, So whether it's me coming up with a new business idea or me implementing a new lesson, technique, well, the way I'm teaching my students, I'm constantly creating. If it's how I'm wearing my hair this day, or how I'm, gonna rock this outfit. Get out of here. Eddie's so cute, making so bad. Like, get out of here. Okay, I'm gonna be done in 1 minute. I know, baby. Go back. Go back. Go back. We almost done. Oh Lord. So yeah, like, it's creativity, it's creation in every right? And entrepreneurship is creation. Like, you're creating a whole new entity that didn't exist before. Your ideas is the blood flow, like, it's moving things forward. Like, all of the things that you have inside of you is meant to come out in some way. Like, you need to put that stuff out there. Even if you write it down on paper, somebody else might be able to implement it. Like, that's the thing. Like, when we don't understand that God created us to create, right, then we get locked down, tied down in these jobs, and we are miserable. Like when you don't create something new on the regular, you are miserable. I don't care how much money you making. Like if you're not bringing it out of you and putting it into the world, you are going to die sad. Like that. And once I understood that, I was just like, I don't care. Like even if I'm writing it in my journal, putting it in my notes, in my notes on my phone, like it'll come to pass one day. If I don't do it, maybe my kids will find it later and be like, dang, mama wanted to do this, and maybe they'll do it. But that's the thing. God just gives me ideas and I just try to put them out there the best I can. Whether I'm implementing it or I'm speaking it or I'm telling somebody else about it or I'm writing it down, it's, coming out of me into the world.
No, for real though, because so many people, they shy away from their ideas. They think about how can they utilize their idea to live life, or they're not paying attention to what their purpose is. Because once you know your purpose, you identify that these ideas and everything that's within you was put there for a purpose, for a reason, to bring it to fruition. You might be a garbage man, but right now you just being a garbage man, but God just got you being a garbage man, maybe just to humble you or just to bring some different things out of you, or maybe to teach you how things work. But technology is something that you're really passionate about. But he might have put you in that position to find out how you can make people's lives easier through technology, but your industry is the waste industry. Or even understanding something that's in the waste industry that could be put in another industry, but since it's through technology, you create it. And I think once we start paying attention that God made us creators, just like he made us in his image and his likeness, and we can create too as well, we'll understand that we're not bogged down to a specific thing. Miles Monroe used to say, you weren't born to wake up, go to work, pay bills, and die. we understand that the Bible tells us, like, the people from a lack of knowledge. Like, so until you understand what this is, you won't understand that the blessing of the Lord make you rich and add no sorrow. So if you always at work, you never gonna understand, I need to pray, I need to read, I need to do all this different stuff to put God first, so he can take these ideas that he's given me, he can tell me what's his idea and what's not his idea, because that's another separation, a good idea and a God idea. Now he'll tell you how to do everything. I think that's why he gave Solomon to give us Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Because you'll know that once I put him first, I can't lose.
Exactly.
There's no way I can lose. Even if I go through a storm, the storm was for me, for Jesus to stand up and tell the storm to calm down and shut up and sit down. I can walk on water. I got faith that this is gonna work out in my favor.
Yeah.
But we don't never do that. And I think you just identify something that we really need to start paying attention to. How was you able to, so you're a new mother, how was you able to transition into, you're a teacher, creative, you do all these different things, you involved in the community. How was you able to shift into that mommy mode, manage your time properly, and still be productive?
I'm still learning. So they're 3 and 1. So of course, the 3-year-old, he gave me my mommyhood start. But once I had him, I think my motivation level changed. Like I kind of was getting a little bit more complacent before I became a mom. Like, I mean, I still had drive, but having children, I think, motivates you in a different way. So I really look forward to building for them now, you know, whereas before it was like, I'm just trying to get this money. I'm trying to be a millionaire, you know. My motivation was different because I just wanted to have the money to do whatever I wanted to do and the freedom to just do whatever, you know what I mean? So being an entrepreneur sounded like, oh, you're gonna have freedom, you could just do whatever, you can come and go as you please. I'm learning now in entrepreneurship that's not true because you know, I got like right now I'm off for 2 weeks because it's break, right? So, winter break or whatever. If I'm an entrepreneur, I don't get no winter break unless I schedule it in and I, you know, manage well enough so I could take off 2 weeks. Like I don't need to.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. She gonna be back. She mommy right now. We're gonna go commercial break.
I'm so sorry. That was a phone call and a kid. Okay, sorry. So
You showing the balance,
I
right?
was
You got the balance on the
looking at
1,000. You like this.
right, and it just speaks to what it is, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, I literally had to like let go of ideals, like or ideals. That's the word with the L on the end, right? Like things are not going to be ideal. Like situations are not going to necessarily pan out like I, you know, seen it in my head or whatever. And I have to just be real flexible. But I think that's a skill that you learn in entrepreneurship too, right? Where you have to learn how to adapt. You have to be adaptable. You got to learn how to pivot and change, you know, with the program. And being a mom requires a level of creativity too, like learning how to balance the responsibilities requires me to learn new ways of doing things. Like I have sometimes I have to even just structure my day a little differently. Like I gotta get up a little bit earlier than I normally would. I gotta go to bed a little later, especially trying to fill people's cake orders. And I got babies that I got to make sure they're tend to. I can't just work with my 3-year-old running around. Like, that's not going to work because he want to help. He want ice in the cake too. He grabbing stuff. And I'm like, no, can't do that. So I just got to learn how to like roll with the punches and like pivot a lot. Like I find new ways or different times to do stuff. And I mean, you know, it's working. I also had to cut some stuff out. Like everything's not priority anymore. Um, Even orders sometimes I just be like, I ain't gonna be able to do that, you know, and it'll be okay. Like, but I do realize that God provides. He always provides. So even like the times where I feel like I'm not gonna be able to take certain orders or whatever, like I might turn down. It's so hard for me to turn down an order, first and foremost. Like that, I can't really do that well. But I feel like when I purpose in my mind that I'm in a season like where I'm in a time where I really just need my time, like for my kids, for my household, my phone won't ring. My phone will not ring. Like I feel like nobody wants a cake that week, or nobody wants to cake them 2 weeks. Like it's like God just knows. It always happens. I go through these little seasons where I'm like, man, I'm wore out. Like the season before might have just been jumping, like, you know, one order after the next, two per day, 3 sometimes, you know, a week, whatever. And like I'd be wore out and I'll just be like, I need a break. Like I'm tired. Like I just need to quit like for a minute. And literally my phone won't ring. So I'm like, okay, God, thank you. You know, he always provides. So he makes a way. My mom is very instrumental in my life and my husband. And so I have a support system that helps me as well. They understand what I'm trying to do, and they support me, 100%. So it works out, but it's all about creativity and pivoting at the end of the day.
Amen. Well, we appreciate you for logging on. I don't want to you go mommy duty. Mommy, they need you over there. But I
Right, can
appreciate you for,
shooing it, kid out of here.
yeah, I appreciate you for hopping on with us, talking to us about everything. If they need to contact you to get some cakes, because she the cake lady, and
Yeah.
she hosts events too, that where she teach people how to utilize their mind and not think about things that are going on, so they can be able to learn how to use their creativity too. So y'all might want to go to one of her events in Detroit. Where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Create with Cake, Create with Cake, and Facebook at Create with Cake. Working on my website currently. I wanted that to look a little different. I'm trying to create some merch and things of that nature. So that is in the works, but that'll also be Create with Cake.
Create with Cake.
Mm-hmm.
It's very instrumental. Make sure y'all check out her events, because just like she got like how they created the paint with sip. She created a situation where you create a cake and you decorate it based on what you thinking and all the different stuff like that. That's pretty dope. I never even heard of nothing like that until I seen that she did it. And I might even go to Detroit to go to one of those events. But make sure y'all check
I'm
her
trying
out.
to work on a virtual situation. I'm gonna see how that works out. Because right now it's so hard to get together and do anything. So virtual will probably be the route that I'm gonna need to take.
Okay. That's dope.
Mhm.
Appreciate you for logging on, giving us that insight on how we can shift the culture, how we can actually teach our kids how to pivot and go into a different realm of thinking, because the mindset is the key to going to your next destination. And we understand now that we need to be focusing on how we going to change this curriculum for our children so they can learn more and be able to propel into this next season that not just America, that the whole world going into, because I feel like it's about to be an entire shift, especially with this technology.
Right. So this era, we're about to be in a new era. We was just talking about what reconstruction, industrial, where we at now, technology,
Definitely.
entrepreneurship.
I see it, because I mean, even with college, like I think it was like the 1940s they didn't care. People didn't care. College was like for smart people, literally. And then they found
Yeah.
out, I was reading it one day, they actually found out that
Yes.
business school, people would pay to go to business school because they want to be working at these big companies.
Mm-hmm.
And then soon as they found out that work, they started making all types of other schools, communication school, and
Exactly.
it turned
And
into a
you
big,
gotta pay to be able to do anything that you could do by yourself anyway.
it just turned into a business. So I think we're gonna propel into another way. Make sure y'all check Miss Ebony out. This is the God's My Source podcast. We bridge the gap between God, money, business, family, and relationships. We appreciate y'all for logging on. We want to ask Miss Ebony if you can pray us out.
I sure can. Father God, we thank you right now for this conversation. We thank you for all the ears that have heard, Lord, all the eyes that have seen. We thank you right now for Lamont and for his platform. We ask right now that you would guide him as he goes forward and spreading the gospel, the good news, and also the good news of you and the good news of business, Lord. We ask God that you would just create clean hearts in us, give us renewed spirits and minds, God, that we will serve you in all that we do, that you will bring out the creativity in your people, God, that you will allow us, Lord, to utilize every gift and every talent to the best of our abilities, and that we would honor you in all that we do, God. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate that prayer. God's My Source podcast. We bridge the gap between God, money, business, family, and relationships. And we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.